All right, here we go, folks. We will be live in just 1 second. And we are live here on Plus One EXP's Roll for Content channel. Nothing having happened before this moment. Certainly not me running an update on my computer shortly beforehand and it dropping all of the audio inputs for the stream. But I did finally remember how to reset them, and my name is Tony Vicenda. I'm Chief Alchemist here at Plus One EXP, which is a weird little brand that multi-classes in tabletop game design, beard and skincare alchemy, and the Bardic College of Content Creation. Our hope and desire is to help amazing players find great designers whose games they can love and help great designers find great players who can love their games. We do that in a lot of different ways. My favorite one, which I totally already said once when the audio wasn't working, is to bully my friends into taking a break from designing their games and to come run them here on stream for us. Tonight we did exactly that. At Charlie Ferguson-Avery is going to be running Into the Cess Citadel for us. Charlie, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about Into the Cess Citadel.
Right. So, yes, we have myself and Alex Coggin, who you cannot see but is currently diligently working as we speak, have been busy working on the sequel for Into the Weird and Wild, which you may or may not have heard about. I hope you've heard about. But Into the Cess Citadel is the companion / sequel to this. It is all about your one-stop shop book for running a big, horrible, evil, magical city. It has not just rules for like dressing the streets, the monsters within, but also for how you turn the city into a gameable, usable space, specifically for OSR and indie style role-playing games. So yeah, we've been working on that, and on top of that we do freelance illustration on the side, but we haven't exactly had the time to do that with working on the book. So
awesome. I'm super excited to play Into the Weird and Wild. Is one of my favorite resources. There's an old saying that all you need to run a dungeon crawl game is a dungeon or a wild space and a city. And so now you have resources for both, even though they're both horrible wild spaces that you don't necessarily want to spend too much time in. I'm assuming that the third book in the installation will just be like a cozy slice of life space for all of your characters to go back to and hang out. Can't wait for that one. So let's meet our other players for tonight. Joining us for the first time ever, we've got Isaak. Isaak, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online?
I'm a good friend of Charlie's. 1/7 of the Book of Gob. I can be found at Dying Lands on Twitter. I do a little bit of role-playing game writing. I've been working on trying to do some editing, but I'm pretty new to the scene.
Awesome. Which finger on the hand of Gob are you?
I wrote the finger that points the way.
Okay, there we go.
That's
careful.
I can't remember. My book's over there. But
yeah, we could summon something horrible depending on what happens. Awesome. Next up, we've got one of my favorite folks to sit down and play games with. We've got Chase Carter. Chase, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and where they can find you online?
Yeah, so I'm Chase. By day, I'm a journalist over at Dicebreaker, news writer more specifically. So I cover the tabletop scene. That's board games, card games, and tabletop role-playing games. The short and long of it is that I try to make it approachable for a general audience. Like this niche hobby does not have to feel niche. At least that's the way I like to approach it.
Awesome. And, it's nice because it's a very chill job. There's never drama in the RPG space. Yeah. There's never major announcements, nothing else like that.
I was just at Origins when that news broke.
Sit back and just kind of like slowly take in product by product, whatever you want. No.
Also, I apologize. That Chase Carter from Dicebreaker. Okay. Sorry. Nice to finally meet you.
I don't. Listen, I'm just a guy. Like that's so that's the other thing. Like if you go back and you can watch, if you go back into the archives, I sat down with Tony when I sort of talked about games journalism. Like, I will just demystify it. I am just a dude doing a day job. Like, I do not want to seem in any way unapproachable. But also, I'm just a dude doing a job. So, like, I will often just drop my shit completely. And you might not hear from me for 2 weeks. So, like, please do not build me up on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair and appreciate. I was like, Chase Carter.
That
where's
conversation.
that from?
I assumed you knew that when you beforehand in our pre-conference.
I did not.
Did we
I
meet?
did not.
Did we meet? I'm like, yeah, we did. My interview with Chase, which you can go find over on YouTube under Prestige Class interview series, was great, and a lot of people were like, "This is totally great to demystify how indie journalism works," and I'm also depressed now. And so it's a great watch. Go check it out. Very, very excited. But you didn't come here to hear us talk RPG Insider Baseball, or maybe you did. That is a significant part of what we do. You came here to watch us play a fun game of urban horror crawls. We're going to be using our house system Down We Go for the mechanics. So if there seems to be any sort of mechanical conversation back and forth between Charlie and I, that's why. But Down We Go is really good at getting out of the way, so he shouldn't have to worry about much of that. We did do some custom backgrounds for this. I'm using a custom role called Townie that I'm very excited to break out. That was set up specifically for Into the Cess and Citadel. And we always use a couple different safety tools here on channel. Those are lines, veils, and the X card, as well as an open door policy, unless the system itself has anything. Charlie told us beforehand there may be some mild body horror and insect stuff. We have a strong line against sexual violence on the channel, but we always like to have a couple conversations around lines, veils, and everything else. So do either of y'all have any lines or veils that you would like to add into play?
None for me.
No monkeys with instruments.
Ah.
No, don't worry, everybody. You'll see.
I don't think I have any specific for this one either. We also have the X card, so if any of those come up, you can type or say X, or we can pause the game. Identify whatever the issue is. It could be confusion. It could be a piece of content that is making you uncomfortable. We'll stop, we'll remove that, and we'll move forward in a different direction. You don't have to explain why you don't like it, just what it is. And then we also have an open door policy, so we might take breaks. You might see us eat, drink, other stuff like that. I'm having some dental stuff happen right now, so if all of a sudden I drink stuff and enter into immense pain, we might have to pause for a few seconds while I deal with that. But other than that, I'm looking forward to having a good time. With that said, Charlie, I'm going to hand things over to you. Oh, wait, one more thing. Right below Charlie's face, there is a link, ttrpg.link/cessgame, that you can go to sign up to get entered, to get reminded when the game goes live. You can also just go to thiscityeatspeople.com, which is an excellent URL, and is linked down in the show notes if you're watching this later or over on YouTube, to get signed up to get notified when this great tool goes live. I will say again, Into the Weird and Wild is one of my favorite system agnostic supplements. It is tremendously well written. I've gotten to see a preview of Into the Cess Citadel, not even at full length yet. It is going to be equally amazing and has some really cool tools in it. If you are a Down We Go fan or a fan of a lot of the games we play here on channel, it's 100% a game I would highly recommend you picking up for your home table. Into the Weird and Wild is much beloved. I'm really excited to see y'all partnering with Wedding Games again to bring it to life. But with that said, Charlie, I'm going to hand things over to you to take us into the Cess and Citadel.
All right. If that's the case, we're just going to hop right in and get right into the settings. So the scene is you see skyscrapers in the distance, towers jutting miles high above the cloud line. All around you are manner of buildings shoddily stacked atop one another. The three of you are walking down a poorly paved cobblestone street as it slowly fills with flood water from the rain above. By now, it's up to your ankles, but you are on a task and you are on a mission. We'll start with one person trips and falls into one of the nearby drains. Nothing severe, but just enough to, get soaked and muddy and wet. Who falls of you three?
So, shall I go for it?
I was going to say, it's obviously Errol. I wasn't even going to give you a question. I was going to say it was your character.
A lanky, tall man in like a long trench coat full of pockets. He steps on the bottom end of his trench coat, falls face first into the pavement. Errol Twill is a magician, acrobat, knife thrower, and jack of all trades. A small monkey wearing a red fez walks over as he's still laying there in the sodden pavement and starts kicking him to wake him up.
While this is happening, the magician falls into the, at this, like I said, ankle-high water and mud and little bits of viscous sewage. Who helps them back onto their feet?
I feel like I would. Yeah. So someone who is this, like, they are like a sort of like hunched person. Their clothing, they're wearing like hide armor over just like tattered clothes. That seems to be like the color of whatever grimy street they're currently walking. It's like all the sorts of grays and browns and awful stained yellows and blacks that you could find in the city. A sort of like moldy tapestry on their clothing, like sort of bends down and offers like one hand. Their skin is like weird and gnarled and like in a bunch of like wrinkles and like sun bleached skin. And they just put one wiry hand down, pick them up, and as they lift them up, they say like in a pretty scratchy voice, like, "You better have held your nose. You don't want any of that water getting up there."
Undeterred, the third and final character points the way ahead to the destination that you have all been paid to search out. Who is this third character?
Yeah, so we see Fink Raspa. Fink's a little bit too put together, like, if you know what I mean. Like, Fink is trying hard to exude a certain image, whether or not that image is warranted or not. Very, very good question. We see that they, have a couple of sacks and a lot of odds and ends kind of hanging off a kind of a well-worn backpack that you can't see the logo on the back of, but it's very obvious that there is one. However, the logo on the shoulder of this kind of leather jacket does imply that they are a member of the 301 local group of Undercity trophy hunters. And so 301 local, very proud group of Undercity trophy hunters. And it's very obvious that he knew that Errol had fell and just kept going, figuring either that someone would help or that Errol would figure it out, one of the two. And they kind of say, look forward and say, "There it is."
Fair enough. And with that, the three of you find your location. Recently, the long and short of it is that recently a series of disappearances have been happening in this neighborhood. There has been no sign of break-in, no sign of sound, and the neighborhood has come together to put together just enough funds to recruit the three of you, a ragtag team that mayhaps have met each other, mayhaps not, in order to search this out. Your only clue is the last place where this disappearance occurred. A small 3-room building, already falling apart, home to a mysterious and miserly individual. The only one of these disappearances where a noise was heard and a shape was seen. They did not leave their house. Whatever got them has not left the house either. You arrive at the doorstep of this filthy, ragged, and worn-down house. The door is closed, and you assume locked, but it doesn't look like it'll take much to push it down.
Any windows? Any chimneys?
Yes, there are, because I rolled for them. There is a window, access to both of these, the two other rooms. So we'll call it the north room and the west room.
Is there like a visible gutter or anything leading up to it?
Leading up to these ones, no. It seems like they were just there was like cobblestone. Looks like there was like cobblestone. There might have been a building underneath this one that was just built on top of it. And on top of that, it doesn't look like it was built with really any foundation.
I'm just gonna like stick my foot out and like kick the door open. Not like bam hard, but like more in the like this looks pretty weak. I'm gonna just kind of knock it down or knock it in, one of the two.
Sure enough. It doesn't take too much effort. You actually, it seems like the door was dry rotted, as the latch stays in place while the door sort of just like messily splits. You step into what appears to be a dirty atrium filled with garbage. You smell something reminiscent of animal, and all around you are buzzing flies and crawling insects up the walls. There is a single door, entryway, leading further into the house.
Are there any like lights or anything, like lit candles or like torches, anything like that?
You do notice that there are some candles scattered on the ground, but they have long since gone out, and have been melted down to just puddles of wax on the ground.
I'm going to pull out a box of matches and attempt to light it, realize that it's completely sodden, and throw it back in my pocket.
Yes. In addition to that, the floor is already, from just the rain outside, water is already starting to pool in around the edges of the room.
I just read what Lawful Neutral said in the chat, that they were waiting for me to lick something, and I will have you know, Lawful Neutral, that Townie, the role that is my primary role, does have the ability Iron Stomach eat something with no ill effects.
Mm-hmm.
I did not take it. I did not take it. It was super hard to not take, but I did not take it.
And with this bounty, this feast on the floor of this first room, you know,
I'm regretting.
You could have got snacking.
Item in my inventory. I've got a clay jug full of mom's trash soup though. So we'll see, which was one of my favorite things on one of the tables.
Okay, do you know what trash soup is?
I do.
Okay.
I also want to make sure you know that my character does, but I think given their background, this 100% made sense for them.
God.
Yeah, I'm gonna start kind of moving around and like testing the floor for weak spots.
Fair enough. Sure enough, it's like it seems that it's just like some slats of wood and packed dirt on top of cobblestone or whatever exists beneath it. It seems sturdy enough. Nothing really to collapse down inward to.
I want to see how these animals died if I can.
Sure thing. Actually, oh wow, not to give away the game, but you head over to what looks like a rat or some sort of like pile of fur on the ground, and you just touch it and feel that not only is it stiff, but it is oddly flat. I would say if you use just like a stick or something to lift it up, it's almost as if the insides of the rat are gone. The thing is like a deflated balloon.
Oh, it's just like a rat skin, just like a hollowed out tauntaun of a rat.
Mm-hmm. There is an entryway further in.
Just one door further in?
One door further in.
It's taking everything of me to not stick that rat in my mouth.
Don't do it. Don't do it, man.
I'll start leading the way towards the entryway or the doorway.
Sure thing. Does anybody have any light?
I have a hooded lantern, which if no one else has been able to figure out light yet, I will go ahead and light.
Fair enough. I will say there's just enough dim light coming in through the cracks in the ceiling of the roof to sort of kind of partially illuminate the next room. But stepping in, oh wait, I think you're muted, Isaac.
Isaac also did say beforehand my microphone might fail at one point.
Okay.
Too, so.
Is that better?
Yep.
There. Yes. Okay. So stepping further into the room, you step into, if this one was filthy, this one is stacked with garbage. It lines the walls, almost as if it's like been kind of like, I hate to say like a hoarder has like organized the way that their trash and items sort of like stack and fill among each other. One of the windows is actually completely covered up with a stack of garbage. That being said, oh yes.
While the rest of the group is doing other things, can I try to poke through the strata of the piled up items just to find anything of value?
You may. As you are doing so, you hear a muffled voice, hidden somehow in the pile of garbage, despite it only coming out maybe a foot.
That's very strange. I'll try and... Is there like something in the way of it? Like, can I pull something out?
How do you want to go about doing this, shall we say?
What's there? Is it just like a pile of like trash?
Yes, so it is a pile of loose rags, what appears to be a crate, and a sack filled with some sort of garbage that has now either putrefied or completely desiccated.
I'll pull the crate out.
Okay.
As you pull it out onto the floor.
As you pull the crate out, you then hear the voice coming impossibly from the wall. It speaks in an odd, sly tone. Well, well, who do we have here? And you watch in horror as a disembodied mouth slides along the wall like a snake. It stops right in the middle of the wall at eye height with you, and it grins. Its mouth extending about 2 feet across, with showing its full mouth of teeth. It just sits there.
I'm going to take a cautious step back and kind of look frightened to the rest of the group, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, you all see this.
Point of order. How do boons work? How do I announce I want to try to use a boon?
You just do it.
In your situation, you should think of that as boons are actually physical items. So you have a book that is a forbidden codex of some kind.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. It is my book of names. Most of them crossed out. Yeah. Because most of them have died, and Gravel Gums, which I did not say my character's name earlier, Gravel Gums has witnessed them dying, and just mark their name from their book. I want to pull out this book and try to like use my boon, Forbidden Codex, a 1 in 6 chance of automatically knowing a piece of information.
Fair enough. Go for it.
Okay. We're gonna roll this d6 and a 5.
Well, it's not a 1, or would it be
and
a
down
6?
And down we go. Contrary to what mentally makes sense, it's always higher is better. So you would need to have gotten a 6 for that to have to succeeded.
Okay.
Yeah, so like almost by instinct, Gravel Gums just like pulls out this little black book and is just like flipping through and seeing nothing, just like is mortified by not knowing what's going on here.
It just at that point it licks its teeth, and they begin to glint with saliva. It begins speaking at the three of you. Been a while.
It's just a wall. It's not like it can eat us.
And I hope you did not
like
say
it
that
can
out
get
loud.
closer.
Yeah. Isaac, I know you've seen the book. You've seen the preview. I think you know what this is, unfortunately. But it licks its teeth and says, been a while since we had unannounced guests. What brings you 3 here?
Do we know who hired us? Is it the neighborhood who hired us?
Yeah, you were met by an actual representative of the neighborhood, and like it was like kind of at a community hall.
Yeah,
and
that's fine. I tell them the name of that individual. We don't need to pretend that NPC is important. I tell them the name of the individual who hired us on behalf of the neighborhood, asked us to come here and see how we could help.
They still don't know what's happening, do they? 1, 2, 3, 10 bodies already taken away deep down underground. At that point, it begins to shift along the wall, circling the room, just grinning and smiling at you, waiting to hear what you say.
I'm not a mathematician or a mathemagician, but 4 typically comes after 3. When it opens its mouth, what do I see inside?
It looks like a mouth. Like, it doesn't open up to like see the like horsehair plaster, no stone. It looks like it impossibly opens up into an actual mouth. You see a uvula, you see like a mouth cavity and a tongue that sinks back into the wall, and you know these walls can't be that deep.
That's fine. That's great. That's wonderful. I'm gonna clench my hand around a small packet in my pocket as I kind of track this thing around the room.
I'd like to, like, out of the corner of my eye, look for any door beyond the one that we came through that goes.
There is another entryway that leads to the west, into the third and final room. It is currently not blocking it, but I will say, just from your intuition, it seems to move oddly fast.
We were hired to be of help, so I guess the question is, can we help you?
At that point, it makes a dead halt, and slinks down across the wall, past the garbage, and then appears on the floor beneath your feet, speaking to you. I believe you can. And in turn, I could help you. I just ask for one little bite to eat, if that's not too much.
Not at all. And then I take the thing that I've been clenching out of my pocket and I throw it in the mouth, if I can.
Sure. What do you throw?
It is because I was playing with Charlie again. I did write powdered red peppers into my inventory.
Ooh.
Without even questioning, you watch as it snaps up maybe 3 feet off the ground. You just have enough time to like pull your fingers away as it just immediately eats. You watch it as it chews, it smiles, and then pauses. And then you watch as its face grimaces, its teeth chitter, and it darts across the floor impossibly fast, up the wall and the ceiling, hurling curses and spitting at you the entire time. You have bought yourself a little bit of time, but it is clearly angry at you.
Is the mouth still open?
Well, at this point, it's like biting and like basically it's doing the hot pepper like.
Can I toss the crate in its mouth?
You can certainly try. It's like zipping over the walls.
Oh, okay. I'll try.
Go for it. That would be a oh god, hold on, I gotta pull up the document and close it down.
If it's to hit, typically it's going to be a bloodthirsty roll. So whatever level you have in bloodthirsty, add that to a d20 roll to see if you hit.
It's a 16 total.
That hits.
Sweet.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you hit it.
So I toss the crate into its mouth, hoping to either stall it or it'll, bite the crate, and hoping to either get it stuck in the mouth or bit open and cause even more distraction.
You strike it, and it immediately scurries away to the entrance where you came from. You hear it. Yeah. You scared it away.
I'm going to quickly make my way to the next room if we can.
Likewise.
Okay, making your way to the next room, you see another pile of filth. This one disorganized, scattered, almost like a sign of violence. Quickly scanning the room as you don't have much time. You do see that, oddly enough, there is a hole in the middle of the floor here. The floorboards give way to what appears to be a thin sinkhole. You watch as water slowly dribbles down the sides of it, and the garbage is laid around it, almost like a nest. It is large enough for someone to crawl down, and it does seem like the walls are just ragged enough that you could easily climb it if need be.
I'm going. So go for it.
No, please go ahead.
I'll motion. I'll open my cloak and my monkey will hop out, and I'll go. Mozart, get down there.
You're sending the monkey down first? Oh,
Its name is Mozart?
His name is Mozart. Yeah.
Okay. Does the monkey?
And I follow closely afterwards. I'm not.
Oh,
like,
okay. Is it a dutiful monkey?
No. He tends to be pretty unobedient.
Ah, okay. Well, he gives you a scowling look, but here's the chittering mouth outside, and immediately scurries down, at least out of preservation. Does everybody else follow?
No, I specifically want to like look down to see if this monkey just meets its mortal end almost immediately before I do anything else.
Ah, okay. You hear the monkey scurry down, and aside from the occasional,
I am following directly after the monkey.
Okay. Well,
I'm not waiting for him to die or anything.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, you hear the monkey and the and your companion cursing as they occasionally stumble down the wet sinkhole, occasionally slipping but catching themselves by pushing their back against the jagged walls.
Is there a sturdy looking beam above us by any chance?
It's actually, there is a beam. Sturdy would be a questionable word for it, but you imagine if you're looking for a pinion point, it might work for.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw the rope I brought over the top real quick and give it a big tug to see if that looks like it's gonna hold or not.
The walls of the building shake, but it does hold.
Gravel comes again, gives a look at that and says, "No, after you."
That's fine. I'm gonna tie it off real quick and then start making my way down with the aid of the rope.
Fair enough. You all descend down the sinkhole. I will say, so we'll say, oh my God, what's the magician's name again? Errol, right. Errol, you are the first to notice this. Eventually, the stone walls give way to metal, slick, partially rusted metal in spots. Eventually, it's like a little harder to climb directly down, as you have to sort of like push your hands against it and your feet. But eventually, that doesn't matter because it levels out. And before long, you are crawling through a rusted, corroded metal pipe. And before you know it, you are at the end of it. Water is rushing out from underneath from the rain above, spilling into a dark underground chamber. You do not have the lights. It's the trophy hunter that does. So you cannot see what is ahead of you. At least not yet.
I'm going to start fiddling with those matches again while I wait for the rest of the group.
Fair enough. In the meantime, as the lantern comes down and peers out behind you into the space, you see what can only be described as a maze, a spiderweb maze of pipes, both rusted metal and broken clay. There is ground here, but you are somewhere deep beneath the city. At this point, you can't even hear the rain above, only the trickle of all the water rushing down these pipes. You may step out onto solid ground if you like to search this area.
Yeah, let's step forward. Actually, I want to take a cup and get some of this water that's coming down and give it a sniff.
It smells like the water from above. This appears to just be just street water. A faint terroir of sewage.
But nothing after it went through that awful house where whatever that was in there, it didn't leave any sort of noticeable taint or something I can pick up from the normal sort of vintage of sewer water from the city.
At least nothing from here.
Okay.
That being said, where you do step down, you notice that your steps are precarious. You actually step onto a much larger broken pipe that acts as almost a bridge across this room. You are in a maze of pipes.
Are they just like pipes, as in like sort of like footstools? Are they all sort of horizontal? Do they go vertical as well? Is this like a pretty sprawling pipe system?
It is a chaotic spider web, so they all go in different directions. You are thankfully standing on one of the larger ones. And oddly enough, it seems like it's been traveled before by foot.
How large is this space? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
How large is the space we're in?
Looking up, and pointing the lantern, it looks like it goes about 30 feet above. To your horror, when you point the lantern down, you see it descends maybe about 100 feet, and it is just more and more pipes as far down as you can see.
That's fine. That's normal.
Yeah, go for it, Tony.
I'm going to start. You said it looks like somebody else has walked this way before. I'm going to start following the evidence of the person who was here before, because I figure that'll give us a little bit of a heads up on whenever they died.
Fair enough. You walk along the top of this pipe. You see before long, you do see that in some of the more precarious spots, there are some hastily made, basically points to hold on to. It looks like they've been here a long time and haven't been used, or at least have been infrequently used. But using those, you do manage to crawl across the pipe and make it to the other end of the room. It's at that point you see two ways ahead. It looks as if one massive pipe has fallen and cracked down. You see more handholds and footholds that lead into it. However, you see to the right, there is a makeshift ladder of handholds drilled into a stone wall, leading up to a thin, tight crevasse. You have two ways ahead of you. You can follow the inside of the pipe tunnel, or you can follow up into the crevasse.
So it's either crevasses or pipes. We've got to choose
Crevasses
one
or
way right
pipes.
now. You're saying it's a binary.
Yes.
Okay. I kind of look at my two companions expectantly inviting their input.
So the tracks are ending here?
Say it again?
The tracks end here?
The tracks are... it looks like the tracks have both been traveled this way, at least.
Okay.
The tracks that you were following are like kind of... It's more like signs of footsteps and signs of travel than they are like, aha, someone has been here. Like,
okay.
Yeah. I guess like Gravelgum says, like we've been going down so far and it hasn't been bad. So I say we stick to what's been working. Why change? Why change what's working? Keep going down.
So you're saying we should down we go?
Down we go.
Sure. Yep. Yeah.
there it is. Oh,
Happens every time.
Hurts right
every
there.
Time.
Oh, right there. Anyway, so the pipe is what you're saying.
Yeah. Gravelgum.
Okay.
Down we go into the Cess Citadel.
Okay. You follow down the pipe. There's more water slowly and steadily leaking down. At this point, turning into a gentle stream of mud and occasional sewer water. As you descend down this pipe, finding the occasional foothold and having to grasp your hand into where there are cracks in this large ceramic and metal pipe, you begin to smell an overwhelming stench. The best way you can describe it is a trash heap on a hot day. And before long, you feel this heat emanating from the pipe as you descend deeper down it. Before long, there are flies scattered along, gripping to the sides, drinking up the water that is slowly descending down these pipes. And at a certain point, you stop noticing the stench. Eventually, the pipe gives way after about 30 minutes of walking, and you see a large cavernous space ahead of you. There are broken stones and columns that create a pathward down. Pointing the lantern ahead, you see what appears to be a massive hill or a small mountain. And all around you, you hear the sound of buzzing flies.
Thanks, Tony.
Sure. Yeah.
This is my zone. I'm like, I know this fly song. It's not the first time I've heard it.
How big are these flies?
Some of them are small, but actually, you had to ask.
If you drop it in Discord, I can pop it up on stream real quick, also for everybody to see.
Oh, the flies? Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, you said you had to ask. I didn't know if they had a picture.
Oh no, I don't have a picture, but
just draw one real quick.
Sure, that's how it works.
Mm-hmm. You just do a quick heart.
I mean, technically, I could. No, some of the flies look like just sort of like regular flies from the surface, but others are oddly large, the size of your thumb, and their faces seem a little strange, and you would dare to say humanish.
Mm-mm. I would not dare.
Yeah.
Do they seem attracted to us? Like as we come down, or are they trying to bite us or swarm us or just investigate?
Currently, no. They seem curious by your presence, especially the larger ones. But it seems that they are happy drinking from the fresh water from the surface, dripping down. What's the plan?
So we just see this large mound in front of us, these flies around. Do we see anything in are we coming down on top of this mound, along the side of this mound, at the foot of this mound? Where are we at?
Right, so you're coming down into the entrance of this massive cavernous space. In the middle of the cavernous space is this what can only be described of just from the light that barely hits it, because it's about 50 to 100 feet out. It can only be described as a massive, multicolored hill. Okay,
so we're getting a sense of just this is leaning backwards wall, basically. That seems like
yes.
Gotcha. I guess I'm gonna make my way over to the base of this hill.
Sure. You make your way. You hop down the pipe. You walk your way down the scattered rubble. You see some more signs of those handholds and posts marking the way. As you make it to the base of this mound, your foot sinks all the way up to your knee into hot, putrefying garbage. To your horror, you realize that the mound that you see in front of you is a massive glacier of garbage that has somehow collected from the surface above down to here over who knows how many decades or centuries.
I just pull my galosh back up out of that. And so
I will say you of all people, as the Undercity trophy hunter, are equipped for this.
I got galosh. I was like, I hope I get to wear this galosh out of here, but it doesn't always happen.
Yes. You are officially in the Undercity.
Do we know anything generally about the Undercity? Would we recognize it?
As a librarian curator, you have more of a scholarly approach to it. You know that the Undercity, basically, this city has been around for so long that at a certain point, there stops being enough room to go out. And so eventually the city just starts building on top of itself. It has been doing that for a millennia, to the point where the original city now exists somewhere far, far deep underground, slowly crushed and pushed down by the weight of the city above it. What you are seeing now are the remnants of it and the various spillage that eventually falls down into it.
Gravel Gums would immediately be thinking of what is the most dangerous or deadly thing that they know of down here that they want to keep on the lookout for.
Go ahead, give me a D6 roll.
Okay. That is a 6.
All right. Where to start? First off, there is a particularly large subterranean fish known as a silt lurker. It grows about the size of a whale, is completely blind, and dangerously carnivorous. There are the grime benders, which are giant salamanders with lamps attached to their heads that attract individuals to their light. There are, all manner of spirits of the undead and the dispossessed who have fallen down here and are forced to walk among the sewage and garbage. And as you hear, and the Undercity Trophy Hunter hears, to your horror, you hear, I keep using that phrase, you hear the low bellows and grunts of a sewer walrus up ahead. The sewer walrus, which you know of, and you imagine you will encounter soon enough, as you hear the sound of several making mating calls, is a titan of a beast known to beach on large swaths of garbage or on sewer drifts, where they make their homes, they mate, and they kill anything that gets close. And you hear what sounds like at least more than one of them up ahead in this garbage mound.
Dang, Ian Malcolm sure was right. Even amongst the garbage.
Given what I know about the mating rituals of the sewer walruses.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, there actually is. I do have notes on that in this book.
That's great. That's wonderful, and we can unveil as many of them as we want to on stream, as long as they're two consenting sewer walrus. Do the sounds that I'm currently hearing imply that they are in the mating process, that they are looking for a mate, or something else?
No, worse. It sounds like it is a series of bulls fighting each other. They become so enraged with testosterone that not only will they kill each other, they'll kill anything that gets close. As of now, you can only hear them. You cannot see them yet.
Awesome. I move the hood down a little bit on the lantern. Like, I make us a little bit less perceivable. Welcome, Surfs Up and Raiders. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we are playing Into the Cess Citadel, which is coming soon.
Oh, what a time to join.
To Kickstarter. No, they're very engaged. Surfs was saying, I really need to up my game based on what they came into. Go check it out at the link below Charlie's face, or This City Eats People, coming soon. To Kickstarter, Charlie, is that where y'all are putting this up on?
GameFound, actually.
GameFound, awesome. I'm very excited to see y'all over on GameFound. Very excited, stepping in there. Go check it out to get notified when it goes live over on GameFound. One of my favorite supplements. Yes, I made mood lighting, Brian Smith. That's exactly what happened. And Charlie, people in chat are demanding art for this scene also too.
Oh, there is a. I will post it later. There is a lovely piece of artwork that Alex did for the sewer walrus.
Awesome. I say we should go the other way.
Errol's just sitting here kind of, he's never been in the Undercity. He's
God.
What is going on? He's just kind of looking to he's probably looking to think with an expression of terror and confusion.
Yeah. Well, when Fink says
what do you do?
We should go the other way, Fink you see, like, you hear like the jangling of chains for a second, as they unholster this large weapon from their hip. click a carabiner on the end and hang the lantern from the end of it.
Yep.
As they pull out their sewer walrus. Is it a harpoon, Charlie? What is this? Is my
Oh
brain.
no, that is an arquebus. It uses gunpowder.
Oh, awesome.
It is and the reason it's called a sewer walrus gun is because it's used to kill sewer walrus.
Awesome. So I've got a sewer walrus gun. And so and you can see this large barbed harpoon sticking out the end of this thing. And I'm like, yeah, we should go the other way. I start making my way the opposite direction around the trash heap. Knowing that all trash heaps are roughly circles if you go far enough for the most part.
Yeah.
But still, as much as possible, looking for a different way to go.
Fair enough. I will say, as you travel around the trash heap, you do spot two more entrants, or at least two more paths. There is one to the south that, oddly enough, is a similar crevice to the one you saw before. Handholds up, and definitely would be safe from the sewer walruses, which you can now see. And sure enough, they have set up on the beach in front of another large pipe leading further down. You see what appear to be 3 bull sewer walruses. Their face a mess of tusks. No sight of eyes as they slam into each other. The two of them look rather beaten and ragged. Still the size of 2 war horses. However, one stands proudly over top of the rest, letting out a massive bellow. Sure enough, you have seen something that I will say the curator, well, actually both the curator and the Undercity Hunter know as a trash king, a particularly large sewer walrus that have known to be quite dangerous. But right now it seems that they are content just fighting each other and calling out in vain for a mate.
That's great. So there's one female sewer walrus nearby just rolling her eyes in dismay.
This again.
Yeah. I would love to take one of these other tunnels. You said we pass a couple of them.
You pass. So there are only 2 ways. There's another crevice up ahead, similar to the one you saw above, and a pipe tunnel that leads further past the trash heap.
I look at Gravel Gums and say, "You want to keep on going with the same route and point past the sewer walruses, or you think it's time to try the crevice?"
You've only got the one spear, right?
Oh, I've got. You look on his backpack. There's like 2 more hanging there.
Yep.
Still, I don't want to take those chances.
Yeah,
we go up.
Okay. The handholds are tight. They were obviously not meant for you 3 are like all kind of like regular sized humans, right? Or human-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm fairly lithe, as they say, or lead, or however you pronounce lithe.
It's the handholds are odd, as they seem like they were made for someone smaller than a human. The crevice itself is also quite tight, but sure enough, you make your way through it. And before long, you are in what appears to be a small cavern in the shape of the inside of a stone building. You see what appears to be crumbling pillars that are still holding up the ceiling. There is broken mosaic tiles scattered along the ground. And you also hear the telltale sound of a stringed instrument, akin to a guitar or banjo, being played from somewhere above.
I mean, obviously, this is time for Errol to shine musically. I'm gonna take a look at the pieces of this broken mosaic while everybody else does whatever they're gonna do.
Fair enough. We'll go with Errol. You have the floor.
Can you repeat that for a second? I missed a bit of it.
Oh, yes. You step into a room that appears to be the inside of a crumbling building, and you hear a stringed instrument, like a guitar, being played from somewhere above.
Can we see anything? I'll ask Fink if he can maybe point his lantern upwards.
Sure
Yeah.
enough.
Now that we're in here, I will unhood my lantern. I'll pull the hood back a little bit, and I'll unclip it and just hand it off. Now that we're like past the walruses, I'll
Okay.
reholster my thing and let you take.
I'll take it and look upwards.
Pointing up, you see a series of rough but tightly bound scaffolding that makes some sort of like stairway / walkway further up. You see that there is some kind of platform, and sure enough, there are the shadows of a figure. As the light flashes up, the music stops and you hear a grunt. You watch as a hooded figure scurries to the edge of the platform and looks down at the three of you. It just gives a single call of, "Hi there."
Hello. I was enjoying the music. Why'd you stop?
Because you showed up.
That's fair enough.
Who are you? Who are you? And what are you doing here?
Well, I am Errol, a fellow practitioner of the performing arts. And these are a few of my compatriots. We're on a mission looking for a missing person, a dead person. Not quite sure on that.
They give a knowing grunt, and then you watch as they quickly scurry down the scaffolding. Now that they step better into view, they appear to be a person about half your height. In place of a face, they have a bird head. In place of typical hands, they have strange chitinous and almost insect-like fingers. And the clicking of their feet, at first you think are shoes, it sure enough reveals themselves to be hooves of some form of ungulate. They step into view with their pack and a banjo at their side. They sort of like do like a cursory look around up and down you. And they look to you, Errol, and say, "Well, what kind of instrument do you play?"
I don't particularly play the instrument. And then he drops his trench coat, and he's got like a kind of a spandex kind of acrobats, one of those like quartered like acrobat uniforms with like a belt of throwing knives on it. And he does some cartwheels as his monkey starts playing and playing the accordion.
I don't want to go on this too much, but there's a comedian who talks about a dude who was selling splits on the subway, where he would just do splits for $1. And it's just like, it's got kind of the same energy of like, I'll do cartwheels for $1. Like,
Chad, I want to know right now in the chat, how much if you could do splits, and some of you probably can. How much would you charge on the subway to do splits?
He's also got these like weird sideburns.
Yeah, of course he does.
We've all seen this guy.
I also got to know what makes them weird, because as somebody who had weird sideburns in high school, I will go ahead and say I think sideburns themselves, if they go beyond the end of your ear, are ostensibly just a weird thing.
They look almost whiskery.
Okay, so they're like pulling out a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got like the Martin Van Buren look going on,
Gotcha.
where they're like sort of like teased out like a cat's.
I think so.
If you bring up facial hair on this channel, it is going to be a conversation. And so, Lawful Neutral says it matters on the subway. Give me a breakdown of 3 of your top favorite subways to perform splits on Lawful Neutral.
We got to move on. At this point, the shorter individual, the beaked individual, we'll call them, just gives you like kind of a nod and says like, "I like you. That's funny."
That's the idea.
Yeah, they just sort of like kind of shake, put up their hands like, "Well, I wish I could offer the 3 of you something, but ain't too much down here. Name's Lurst, by the way," and they hold out your hand to shake.
I will offer a foot and shake it.
They, like, I like that. This guy's funny. He points to the two of you. And he says, like, "Anyway, come on up. I got some tea brewing. If you want to tag in, we can catch up there."
God,
I will
how can we not go have some
similarly
sewer
quickly.
Wait, say it again. Okay, wait. Okay, say it again. We'll start with Isaac.
I'll scamper after him similarly quickly to him. I have an ability that lets me make impressive feats of agility.
Fair enough. You're doing cartwheels all the way up, right?
Just so you know, you do have a certain number of uses of those per session. So
Okay, then I won't use it for that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know that there are a lot of stakes right now, so maybe the GM will just let you do it.
You get cartwheel. It's fun. Lurst thinks it's funny. But anyway, he takes you up to his small hovel, which he has built into the side. All he has right now is tea and some sort of jerky that he just hands off to each of you. You're free to update him about your mission if you like. Otherwise, this is just currently a safe spot.
I mean, like I'm gonna break out Mom's trash soup, pop that open, see if anybody wants a pull. Mom raised me right. I know how to. Yeah. I know how to come show up at somebody's underground hovel.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sorry, what did you do?
I pulled out the trash soup.
I pulled out Mom's trash soup, and I pop open the top, and I take a long pull, and then I see if anybody else wants some.
Tony, can I make a guess about what trash soup is, just from pure context?
Yeah.
Is it sort of like pantry pasta, where it's just soup made from whatever shit you can pull out of the pantry?
Man, you would love if that was the case. It's not. It is not.
I have no idea what it is.
Yeah, I don't either.
For those of you wondering, trash soup, at least in the context of this book, is the water that collects at the bottom of dumpsters.
Yeah, it's dumpster. It's dumpster juice. It's trash.
I'm very familiar with that. Then
with bits in it. So garbage soup is a term that is like whatever is left, throw it all in the pot, let it stew. This is also like garbage soup was common for most of human history as just what soup was, and it was only until in the modern era that we gave it a denigrating name. Trash soup is and this is hot Texas trash soup, so like that aroma really hits you. A little spicy, definitely warm. Chase knows exactly since it's the middle of the summer in Texas, exactly what that smells like.
Yeah, I don't know why it smells like shellfish because there's no ocean nearby. But
Errol's going to just go on a rant to this guy about how he went to perform for Kings, how he's world famous. Everybody's heard of him. Just boasting about himself.
Yeah. At a certain point, Lurst sort of loses interest in the boast. Yeah. It's like, oh, that's cool. Like, Lurst does take a swig of the trash soup and just sort of grimaces as he drinks it down.
Yeah. So there, Undercity seems pretty standard down here. Mouth and a building up top. You know anything about that?
He says, not about a building up top, but you'll see those mouths around here and there. Usually they're pretty rare. Thankfully. Nippy little bastards.
Never seen one before. What do you do with them?
These just don't feed them. They seem to know a lot, but I don't trust them. That's my thoughts.
What if you do feed them?
Just hypothetically.
Well, usually they'll try to bite you. I mean, you could feed them whatever they want, but they'll never be satiated unless they get a bite of you, shall we say.
Yeah. Okay.
Gravel Guns wants to look around this building and see if they can find anything that tells them anything about its origin or its purpose. They were a curator. They were around some knowledge. Maybe they can catch a hint just from the architecture.
Yeah. Oddly enough, it looks like it was probably a chapel at one point. You see that there are motifs to some kind of winged god down here. One that bore wings of a moth. Lurst actually notices you and says, must have been a church at some point. I only moved in a couple of days ago when people started getting got.
Yeah, by the walruses down there, the mouths, what's getting them?
He says, oh, no, the walruses are fine. There's actually a fun little trick of getting around them. I'll tell you. I mean, that's the least I can do for the soup. No, there's something else down here that I'm not sure what it is. All I know is it's doesn't like to show itself, and if you look at it, you've already been gotten. It's basically why I haven't left here in the last couple of days, and I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of running low on food at this point.
Well, I mean, here's what we can do, and I'll look around for a bowl or a cup or something to pour out like half the trash soup for him.
Mozart, misreading the situation, scurries back underneath my coat.
Okay, fair enough. I will say Lurst quickly takes the trash soup and downs it like he was shooting a big swig of whiskey.
It doesn't get easier.
Yeah, nope.
That's part of the fun, though.
Yeah.
Like you're at the point where you're like, this is gonna get better, and then it doesn't.
Nope.
I don't know how mom does it. Every single time, it's worse and worse.
I swear to God, you never have experienced fun in your life if that's what you think fun is.
The more we talk about trash
so
soup, the more the
sad.
viewer count is actively dropping. I will point out.
But at that point, Lurst's eyes sort of basically light up with a little bit of curiosity. So you're down here to get whatever's getting people.
Yep.
He says, fair enough. Would you like some help?
Oh, we could absolutely use some help.
He says, yeah, I just need some help. As long as they're gone or whatever blocks it off, yeah, I'll help. Plus, I can help you get past the sewer walruses. And he digs through his various packs that he has scattered around and pulls out a bag of something pungent. It is sticky to the touch. And in a velvet bag that is now, sticky and somehow partially soft. He is careful to hold it, just using 2 fingers delicately.
Is that what I think it is?
Yep.
I don't want to know how you got it.
We're not going to go into it.
But
We're not going to go into it,
I'm
audience.
excited to see that you have it.
Whatever you think it is, it is. And it,
Gorgor Big just said, trash soup bowl stretch goal confirmed. Tell you what,
there was...
I don't know what your
Was it-
funding
what was
goal
it?
is, but at $5,000 over the funding goal, I will release the recipe for mom's trash soup.
oh boy.
Brindlewood Bay did really well with the cookbook add-on. I'm sure we can do something similar here.
What was the zine that sent out a jar of pluff mud?
A jar of pluff. Oh, that was John's zine. That was
Low Country Crawl.
That was
Yeah,
Low Country
yeah.
Crawl, yeah.
We have also played on stream, in which I did put weird things in my mouth during.
God. But anyway, at this point, Lurst is saddling up. You watch as he picks up a oddly large axe for his small frame, and a large, heavy pack loaded with all manner of stuff. He also takes the sticky velvet pouch, takes a piece of string and ties it to a rock.
Oh, bait. I was thinking it's either going to be bait or deterrent, but
It's bait.
I'm putting it together
It's
now.
bait.
Is there like a torch or any other sort of like secondary light source that we can take? I'm getting Gravel Gums is getting a little worried just having the one light source.
Yes,
Errol tries fiddling with those matches again.
I think that's
Are they
making
dry yet?
Gravel Gums like more anxious. Every time Errol pulls out a match and just like sort of wetly strikes it, I'm just like, I have to find something else.
I will say, Lurst sort of digs around and he says, well, I had a lantern, but I lost it a while ago. I mean, I could see perfectly fine. And points to his eyes, and you can't help but notice a light shine in it. Do I hear a cat?
Yeah, my cats are fine. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I was just making sure.
We
like,
could hear
it
the
wasn't
sound of the bull walruses.
Anyway, Lurst saddles up with the bait in hand and leads the way down. And once again, down we go.
Into the Cess Citadel.
Roll credit.
Bravo.
Yeah.
I'll lead the way with the lantern again. I imagine Lurs is probably right behind me with the bait. And can we tell from the sound of the cats whether they are fighting?
Yes, they are still in the throes of fighting. As a matter of fact, one lets out a pained howl, as you imagine the Trash King has probably gored them pretty good. The three of them are still fighting. The Trash King, hale and ready. The other two seem tired and have given him space. At that point, Lurst sort of clusters sort of close to you. And you watch as he pulls out a small knife ready to cut into the bag.
Yeah, I pull out my gun and aim it towards the Trash King specifically.
He whispers to the three of you, "This'll buy us about a minute, no more." And he quickly punctures the knife into the bag and throws the stone that it's attached to as far as he can. You watch as immediately the grunting and howling of the sewer walruses stops, and they all make sniffing sounds with their noses, wet with anticipation. Lurst doesn't wait. As soon as it's out of his hand, he is moving.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm covering him, but I'm hauling pretty quickly.
Yep. No hesitation.
No hesitation. That's fair. The three of you, go ahead. Give me a sneak roll.
It's a 10.
10.
I'm substituting townie, but that is 17.
19.
Okay.
Naturally.
19. Okay. That's 2 out of 3. And wait, I got to roll for Lurst.
Lurst, if you screw us right out the gate.
You got 50. Just made it. Yeah.
Oh man.
You listen as the 3 sewer walruses charge towards the bait. You hear their bodies crushing through the sewage like they were a car through snow, and you all scurry towards the pipe at the far end of the room. You have made it past the trash heap. You follow this pipe, and eventually the pungent smell of the garbage pile disappears. And this time it is replaced with something different. A similar pungent smell to the bait, but this one more akin to that of a cockroach. Sort of a more insect odor. Eventually the pipe gets more cavernous walls. Spliced with ancient crumbling cobblestone and pillars that are to the curator, you don't even recognize their style. This is somewhere old, somewhere deep, and somewhere forgotten. And it reeks of something. Lurst begins to act quite skittish around here. His beak darts around as he looks up and down the walls, holding his war axe at the ready.
Does he seem afraid or excited?
Afraid.
Have you been down here
make
before?
your way through this. He just shakes his head and like, never this far. This is where they disappear. As you continue to make your way, all sort of clustered together, you see more curious mounds scattered on the floor. Not nearly as large as the ones. Instead, these ones are merely about as high as you. The best way you can describe them is they look like stacks of rags or leather of some sort.
I'm gonna poke my my gun into one of them and see what happens.
Sure enough, with the light attached and poking it, they appear to be, at first, clothing made of tight, petrified leather. That is until you realize that they are empty human skins.
Yeah.
With the bones still in them.
Cool.
Much
cool,
like
cool,
the
cool.
rat that you found in the building above, these ones have been, for lack of a better term, drained.
Awesome.
Human Capri Sun. Yeah.
Yeah, pouches. Here's the thing about rats. Rats don't own stuff. People do. So I'm gonna start looking around these desiccated husks for anything of help or value.
I'd like to look as well.
Fair enough. Okay, go ahead.
As I look to the room and say, "It's people."
Yeah, as you dig through. Okay, actually, give me a d6 roll because, fun fact, everyone listening to the stream, there's mechanics for this.
6.
All right. You find 6 random items. Let me pull it up.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I only rolled a 1.
You rolled a 1. Okay. Oh, so everybody just like dives into it.
That's
Gravel,
okay because
Gravelgums does not. Gravelgums backs up and starts making little mystic gestures to ward off bad luck. This is courting disaster.
Yes. I will say that you find 7 items altogether. You find a bag of walrus jerky, a jar of moss butter, what is that?
We're eating good tonight.
Oh, you actually find a slug for a walrus gun, so a bullet.
Ooh.
Or harpoon, I guess in this case. A flare, a stink bomb.
Oh, I'm taking the stink bomb.
And a pair of boots. I think that's 7.
cool. I'll take the moss butter, the bolt, and the flare.
Can I grab the boots as well?
Sure.
Yeah, the boots as well. Yeah.
We look over at you wearing just a spandex suit, and we're like, "Yeah, you can have these boots. That's fine."
All right, and
he's got a trench coat that goes on top of it. It's not weird.
Give me all a not a sneak. What's the other one? I don't have the rules in front of me.
Sneak is like, tell me what it would be in Dungeons and Dragons, and I'll tell you what it would be in Down We Go.
To hear something. Notice something.
So there's really not a perception roll per se. So either we hear it or we don't. So luck, if you think there's a chance we heard it or didn't, is probably the closest.
Let's go with luck or townie.
Luck or townie? Okay, so
yes.
Everybody else can make a d6 roll, which is probably going to be better, and I'll make a townie roll. I got 18 on townie.
Okay.
I got a 5.
I got a 1.
Oh, okay. So we'll say the 5, and so Isaak, Errol, and Tony. Can't remember the hunter.
Fink Raspa.
Fink Raspa. As you are digging through the piles, you hear ever so slightly the beating of wings above. They are quick and insect-like and quite large. Your eyes scan the dark, but see nothing. At that point, Lurst is beginning to have a little bit more panic and whispers to the 3 of you, "We need to get out of here."
Okay.
Is there a visible way out of here?
Just the way back, the way you came. There is something. Well, the tunnel does continue further down. If you would like to continue exploring.
So we have arrived at a spot where we can go forward, but also where the things in here are drained like the things above, and our friend has not come before, but is also inherently terrified of what's about to happen.
What's the plan?
I'm gonna we can I'm gonna hide behind one of these things, like whatever everybody else is doing. I'm gonna just try to put myself behind one of these things, and I'm gonna put the lantern down, kind of bouncing off the wall nearby.
Fair enough. What does everyone else do? So the hunter is hidden. Lurst also dives in. Lurst actually dives into the pile of skins.
That was going to be my plan, was going to be to grab one or two of those skinned humans and just sort of like pull them on top of myself, like lay down and put them on top of me.
What
Is
does
there
Errol
is
do?
there something I can see up above, like something I can climb up to?
No, it's actually like you realize that this is for lack of a better term, a killing ground of sorts.
Great.
It's a flat floor and then a tight V ceiling.
I'm also going to try. You know what? I'm just going to try playing dead. I'm going to lie on the ground and pretend I'm dead.
All right, so you just collapse.
Yeah.
I'll say something. I think you may be the first person to ever play dead playing Down We Go. Ever. Which is fine. It's actually a very valid strategy, and I'm surprised more people don't use it. And I'm very interested to see where it goes.
Oh, we're gonna see. You all hear the beating of wings once again. This time more rapid, and before long, you hear the sound of something gently thump onto the ground. You hear 6 legs quickly skitter along the carpet of skins. Errol, are your eyes open or closed as you play dead?
I will leave one eye open. I'm just kind of like peeking through one eye. I'm laying on my side for sure, so I can only really see in one direction.
Fair enough. With the one squinting eye, you see what appears to be a dull-colored lump scurrying around on the ground. The best way you could describe it is a moth the color of a rock. You watch as its colors seem to shift to the desiccated skins as it moves around, shifting colors almost like a cuttlefish. You watch its antennas twitch and its long proboscis touch the ground. Unmistakably, it is slowly making its way to you, sniffing the air and ground.
What does it look like? Oh, sorry. How big is it?
It is. Oh Jesus! It's a 8-foot tall moth.
Yeah,
I like how your own writing surprised you. All of a sudden, you're like, "Holy crap! How big did I make this thing?"
Yeah.
So I'm going to be ready for when it gets near, and when it gets close, I'm just gonna like play dead until it gets here, and when it gets close, I am going to try to grapple it and climb on its back.
Okay.
So like I'm hoping it won't expect me, and try and get it where its proboscis can't reach me.
Fair enough. It eventually comes over to you, and assuming that you are dead or paralyzed, you watch as its proboscis sort of slowly protrudes out from its face. Right before it touches you is when you react. Go ahead and make a bloodthirsty roll.
Okay. I got a 6.
A 10?
6.
A 6.
On a D20, right?
On a D20.
Okay, just making sure.
Ooh, okay, well, you attempt to, using your acrobatic skills to leap around and grapple at least its head. It is too quick for you. You watch as it not only skitters back, but hops to flight. And you see its underside, the underside of its wings for the first time. Rather than the gray mottled camouflage, its underside is a dazzling prismatic color. And at this point,
this is the third moth you've put in one of your books?
We put a moth in every book, I'll have you know. But yes. It is a moth.
There's like 2 or 3 in Into the Weird and Wild, I'm sure.
Look, it's the wild. There's different types of moth outside.
Yeah.
I've been slowly melting lard over the top. over the top of from the heat on the lantern while this has been going on.
But yes, Isaac, you actually are correct. We it's almost a running joke at this point that like we have to put moths in every book now.
There's two moths in Into the Weird and Wild. I expect 3 Into the Cess Citadel.
You hosted an entire event just to get people to do moth stuff. Z-Moth.
That's
Oh
true.
my god, we did. Wow. Huh. Fascinating. Wow.
Charlie, do you have something to say here about moths?
I just hope it's not a sexual picadillo. I'm just going to throw that out there.
It's fine if it is. This is Charlie's glitch in the Matrix. Is like there's
I
some
have a
sort of
recurring moth infestation at my house.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well,
No, it's fine.
sorry. That
It's
should have
fine.
been a lines and bales thing.
No. It's totally fine.
Yes. But at this point,
I get to take revenge on these moths.
Yes. Go ahead and make either we'll say either sneak or sneaky or bloodthirsty roll to avert your gaze.
19 on sneaky.
19 on sneak. All right. You just managed to pull your eyes away as you feel your consciousness slip just from gazing at its rapidly beating wings. I will say the rest of you are positioned behind the moth. So all you see is it reared up, its wings beating rapidly as it slowly walks on its 2 legs towards Errol. Its proboscis and serrated claws flicking out at him. What do you all do?
I don't know I don't know how it was supposed to work, so I'm just looking in reverse in one of my daggers. I've been melting some lard during this time while I've been waiting. I'm just going to try to throw this wet bag of liquid lard on this creature.
Okay, so you throw hot lard at it.
Hot lard, yeah.
Okay.
And I would say, based on the amount of time we have, probably not super hot. Probably more like I throw
Kevin.
smushy, semi-solid lard at this thing.
Okay. Go ahead, roll. I guess that would be bloodthirsty.
Bloodthirsty, yeah.
Yes.
That is a 17.
17 hits with a dagger.
Well, it's not a dagger. I'm looking in reverse at the dagger because I don't know how not looking at this thing works other than we're not supposed to. And I kind of like throw it over my shoulder. So this is
It's just a lard
the lard.
I'm just throwing a ball of lard.
Oh, a ball of lard. The ball of lard's okay. Well, the ball of lard hits. It spatters into the moth where it lets out a strange trill. It averts away from Errol and now sort of points its wings at you, flapping them. So go ahead, give me a sneaky.
Whatever that trill was is the equivalent of who the hell throws lard at someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess
give you a townie roll.
Yeah, I guess. Give me townie or sneaky, one or the other.
Townie, yeah. So that's going to be 17 actually again.
17. Okay, you avert your gaze too. You are safe from the moth. I guess that leaves the curator.
I have another point of order. How does spell casting? So can I cast spells on anything?
I mean,
So
are you asking? You're asking about invisibility?
Yeah.
It makes it invisible for level rounds. Yes, it is not system-wise, and down we go. It is not limited to just you.
Okay, I'll go ahead and make this check. I just want to know that.
Okay. But
I do love the way that thought is such a good thought.
That is a good thought. Although it's got something else that makes it a problem.
I got a 14 on my roll.
14 on your roll to was that to attack it or to?
You said the curator. I didn't know if I also needed to make the check or.
Oh no! I was just seeing what you wanted to do.
Oh, I see. I'm going. Listen, Gravel Gums is not in immediate danger. They are standing stock still underneath these pile of dead bodies. That is where they're keeping for right now. Until something forces them out, they're going to stick right there. But they're also going to keep an eye on the situation if possible.
Fair enough. I will say that Lurst charges in at that point, and what do they get? It beats it. Lurst leaps out from the pile of rags, and buries their axe into the side of the moth. You watch as its body begins to weep a white, viscous blood. It lets out a hiss at that point. So it has taken 1 hit at this point. Lurst. Oh, right. Lurst gets 2. Oh. And then you watch as Lurst goes slack, and their face just gazes at the beating wings of the moth.
What is the moth doing at this point? Is it still just beating its wings, or does it start closing in?
It starts closing into Lurst as he is the closest. Oh, actually, everyone's gone, so it's the moth's turn. The moth makes an attack on Lurst. Or I guess Lurst would roll to see if he avoids it, as per the rules. He does not. You all watch as the proboscis, normally slow and delicate, flicks like a spear directly into Lurst's neck. He lets out an exacerbate a sort of just a quick little puff from his lungs, and you see the shock on his face. And at that point, he is stock still and making pained groans.
Okay, can I make a luck roll to see if my box of matches has dried out yet?
I will say at this point it is probably dry, or at least
it's
you've
also-
found
but there's
the
no-
dry one.
It's also classic Fifth Element moment. Like you got this is the last match in the book.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've got 1 match left.
Got
And
one.
I'm gonna
match.
run over there. I'm gonna run over there trying to light the match as I'm running over to the thing. If I manage to light the match, I'm gonna toss the match at the moth, like the lard covered moth.
The Lord.
That 1-2
Sure.
combo.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll allow it. Technically, lard does not catch fire that easily, but I like this. So.
I've got a great science fact to release after this point.
Oh, okay, yeah. We'll say it's special lard or.
That's fine. I
something.
was going to use the flare specifically, knowing the science that lard does not catch on fire. But I
Okay,
love this.
yeah.
I love the vision of this either way.
It's the same as the typical D&D oil burns ridiculous. Like D&D oil is not that flammable.
Yeah. The concept for lard also though the trade off is that you can eat it in an emergency, and so like
Yes.
it does not burn. But
We have to move on. But
I tossed the match, the last remaining match, at the moth from a very short distance.
yes, I will say since that counts as a tool, I'm not going to have you roll for that. The match hits the lard, and you watch as a small puff of flame bursts on the moth's head. At this point, it begins making a shrieking trill. It stops flapping its wings and falls to the ground, and it begins scurrying about, attempting to fly, but too pained to do so. Lurst collapses to the ground and begins convulsing in a fetal position. Who is next? I guess it would be...
I think it's Fink up next.
Yes, Fink.
we can decide on there we go. We can decide whatever order we want to go in. So if somebody's like, I have a thing I want to do at this moment, that's also fine.
I've played Down We Go so many times now, and I still like.
It's fine. It's so much simpler than anybody ever thinks it is, or it's just like,
Yes.
yeah, you just decide.
Let's do it.
Well, with this happening, I think I'm gonna run up and do what I was gonna do, but now in a different spot. I'm gonna like rip the flare open on my way and just like stab the flare, like the attempt is to shove the flare into this thing a little bit as it's erupting out.
You go ahead and give me a bloodthirsty for that, just because it's
That sounds 100% like what I should
Yeah.
do.
just because it's moving around pretty quick at this point.
That's an 8.
The flare is lit and it does continue to burn. And at this point, but you don't manage to hit it. That being said, you
I'm
do
flare
still
dancing with this moth.
Yeah, just ha, ha, ha. All right, it is. I keep forgetting the curator's name.
Gravel Gums.
Gravel Gums. That's it.
Seeing the dropped, Gravel Gums is going to go for the alley oop, and I would like to like burst out from my hiding spot and sort of like slide over to that flare and see if I can't like jam it up there since it's still burning.
Fair enough. Go ahead, give me a bloodthirsty.
I got an 18.
18. Sure enough, you snatch the flare from Fink's hands and you ram it into the face of the moth. I'll say it's taken with the fire. Yep. You watch as the moth lets out one last shriek and curls in on itself. It continues to burn, its legs twitch, and you see the prismatic colors in its underwings slowly begin to fade into a jet black. It is dead. That being said, the lantern, well, the flare actually lights up the room much better than the lantern. And it's at that point you see the other moths on the walls.
Nice.
right before we see them, Mozart hops out of my jacket and starts doing like a little taunting dance at the moth.
A taunting dance.
And then we see the rest of the moths.
And then he finishes. He's like this, and then he slowly looks up, and he sees the moths first.
With the one dead, you do begin to see some of them begin to stir. You are in a precarious situation right now. They are awakening.
And there's how many? Like several?
At least a dozen.
How many times did we hit this thing before it actually died? Like 3 times?
At least 3. Yeah.
3. Yeah. They don't have that many hit points, but
That's fine.
By the way, you watch as Lurst lets out one fell cough, and you see that from every pore in his body, his fluids are leaking out. He is dead.
Oh, dang it. So they have low hit points, but we apparently do also.
Yes.
That's fine. I'm going to shoot at a couple of these things as I start moving back towards the. Yeah, like I'm 100% going to unleash one of my walrus bolts at one of these things.
I'm grabbing Lurst's axe.
Lurst's axe. Okay, you have Lurst's war axe, still slick with it's actually called a lepidop blood.
Are we getting out of here or going deeper?
I want to go back.
Okay.
Yeah, back.
I'll follow.
Yeah. As we're backing out by the light of the flare, Gravelgums is writing Lurst's name in their book of names and then immediately crossing it out and making a couple of notes.
Yes. Go ahead, give me a bloodthirsty roll for the sewer walrus gun.
That was a 19. Sorry, for a second I didn't know you were talking to me.
Sure thing. The sewer walrus gun goes off, and you blast off a wing of one of the moths that was beginning to take flight. You hear it chitter and scream as it falls to the ground. Still alive, but mortally wounded. The sound of the gun and the light of it lights up the entire cavern. And like a strobe light, you see some moths beginning to hop mid-flight. I assume you continue fleeing out the way you came.
Yep.
Yeah. Does the way we came in, was it like an enclosure that opened up into this space, or was it like big open? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was an enclosure. Yeah, cool. You came through a pipe.
Cool.
Running back through the pipe, you do unfortunately hear the grunting of the walruses. At this point, they sound tired, or at least like they are not as ferocious as before, but they are still there. What do you do? I will say that you're still on the move, and you haven't halted yet.
We don't have much of a choice. I think we just need to like hit the light and just keep going.
I'll say,
yeah. I mean,
to get past the walrus, it'll be a sneaky.
I mean, it could be a sneaky.
Or
what about that stink bomb, Errol? What if you throw that stink bomb at the walruses? They can't see. Yeah, they can't see. They just go by smell. It might confuse them.
They are blind.
Yeah, why not? I'll throw a stink bomb at the walruses. We're trying to get past them back to where we were.
Yes, it would appear so.
I
Or
mean,
at least
we're just being cowards and running away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, you found out what's been killing the people,
Yeah.
so
That's fair.
it's moths,
That's
guys.
I'm gonna like, while you're doing that, I'm gonna like put myself at the back of the tunnel so that I can shoot these things as they come in.
All right, I'll toss the stink bomb at the walruses, try and get us some cover.
Yes. The walruses react oddly to it. You see that it seems like their noses are overwhelmed. They don't move, but at least their senses are dulled now. You watch as they make confused and somewhat irritated grunts from the smell, beginning to sort of slap their bodies down where the stink bomb landed. Which, by the way, is just a jug that just cracks open when you... However, the moths continue to pour in through the one tunnel. So go ahead and I'll say make one bloodthirsty for the gun before they are upon you.
I could make one bloodthirsty for the gun.
Or
I think what I would like to do first... Did we find a second source of light?
The flare is still going.
No, I understand that. Did we find a second source of light earlier when we were looking? When Chase specifically was like, I don't like only having one source of light.
I don't think we ever did.
Gravel Gums never found it.
Lurst had dark vision. Yep.
I'm okay. When the first one comes through in that situation, then it's gonna get hit. I'll make a bloodthirsty roll. But what I want to do is I want to hit it with Mom's clay jug full of trash soup. And that is an 18.
You hit it. You watch as the moth falls flat on the ground with an irritated hiss. I will say that stuns that one long enough to hold back the rest. So you've bought yourself another moment of time. So go ahead, everyone make a sneaky to get past the walruses at advantage from the confusion from the stink bomb. So go ahead, roll twice, take the highest.
16 for me.
18 is better than 9.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Everybody make it?
Still waiting on Errol.
Sorry, what was the roll?
Oh, go ahead, roll sneaky at advantage.
At advantage? Well, I rolled a 20 here, so...
Oh,
beautiful.
Perfect. Perfectly
We're ready
sneaky.
to get out of here.
Yes. You all manage to avoid the sewer walruses. They are distracted by the stink bomb. One makes a parting blow at the sound of your feet into the ground, but misses by a long shot. At that point, the moths begin to crawl towards the edge of the pipe.
Yeah. I'm going to have left the lantern behind. I would like to shoot it now with my gun.
Fair enough. Is that that's your last shot, isn't it?
No, because I've only made one shot with.
Oh, okay, right, yeah. Because
I threw a thing of soup. I stabbed someone with a flare. Or no, I didn't stab him with a flare. I tried to stab him with a flare. I threw some lard, but I've only made one shot. I had 3 to start with, and I found one more, so I've still got a few.
Okay.
The that's 17 again.
Nice.
17. You strike the lantern, and you watch as a burst of lantern oil lights up not only the sewer walrus, but the nearest moth that was attempting to crawl through. You hear a cacophony of bellows and shrieks from the moths. There is a moment of confusion where the creatures seem to batter into one another and just attempt to discover what caused that. I will say that is enough of a distraction for you to get out of here. Is there anything you would like to do in the great trash heap before you make it to the pipe maze?
Is there any mechanically cool thing we can do in the giant trash heap that you want to tell us so we can be like, we want to try to do that?
You could search it for 30 minutes if you like.
No, we don't have time, do we?
Do I feel like I have enough time to go get Lurst the banjo?
He took that with him. That's in the...
Oh.
That's on the other side.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But no, I have no more business here.
Yeah. Errol just has the war axe.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
Okay. You make your way out of the trash heap, up the pipe maze, and tenuously now to the edge where the pipe turns to stone. crawling back up into the building. Who's in front?
I've got the flare, so I'm going to guess I am.
Okay. Give me a sneaky roll.
I'll give you a townie roll.
Oh, townie? Okay.
14.
All right. Not enough. 'Cause
I've got a giant flare in my hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Even my character is vaguely aware of it, but
as you crawl up the tunnel, the water's still rushing in at this point, spattering into your face. You hear a familiar voice. It just whispers to you for a moment. Remember me? And you feel something bite onto your hand for 1 wound.
no defense roll. Boo, killer GM. I'm just kidding.
He's still there. So that's 1 wound. You hear a crunching, snacking sound as it took one of your fingers.
Not the first time I've lost a finger.
Yes, I will say you may make a parting shot on it before it scurries away.
Yeah, sure. I'll shoot it with one of my other weapons. Thanks. That is a 16.
16. Actually, 16 hits. Okay, you managed to blow a hole in the mouth. It lets out a curse as it does so, but it scurries away, hiding behind the piles of garbage. At that point, it curses you as you all make your way into the building and out onto the street.
Is it still actively raining here?
It is still. At this point, it's still ankle deep, but you imagine it will probably be halfway up to your knees by nightfall. Is there anything anyone would like to do before departing the building?
Yeah. The building's old and in bad shape.
Yes.
It's also wet.
Yes.
I want to retrieve my rope that we used to crawl back out. I would also like to find the main support beam and destroy it to knock the house down.
Fair enough. I will say, if you'd like to be poetic, you may use Lurst's axe to do so.
I would love to use.
I'll offer it.
Lurst poetic axe to do this. And so,
fair enough.
Hopefully, this doesn't take down the rest of the block with it.
Yes. All 3 of you make short work as you destroy the supports of this building, and it collapses in on itself. You hear a rush of water come in and fill up all the garbage. Fill in and wash away the garbage. And before long, what was once a house is now just a pile of rubble crashed against the street. The hole leading up into the city has been filled in, and all that is left is a faint singing coming from that mouth in the wall. It just whispers
to be on.
It can go on the floors. It can go on floors. It whispers quietly something that you cannot hear before disappearing down the hole that you cannot see. And at that point, the streets continue to gently flood with water, and you are left alone as night approaches. And that's all she wrote, y'all.
I can't wait to see the detailed art you draw and include in the book of us standing next to this house's rebel with Lurst's axe. Very excited to see your interpretation of all of our characters. Let's do our reaction roll. Reaction roll is a live stream inside of a live stream. It's our chance to sit down with the creator of a game we just played and talk to them about playing that game. Today, we just finished playing Into the Cess Citadel using our house OSR system. Down we go. We sat down and played it with the creator, Charlie Ferguson-Avery from Feral Indie Studio, one one of the two great creators, at least two great creators, and maybe more great creators behind this, but two
we have a couple extra tagging in here and there.
Two plus team who are putting together Into the Cess Citadel, which is the second of what is promised to be a 3-part series. The first one, Into the Weird and Wild, one of my favorite resources. Very excited about Into the Cess Citadel, and very, very, very excited for the third installation, Castles and Cozy Places, that they are going to be writing about all the safe places that won't hurt you, that you can go to when you're done with the other 2 books. Charlie, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, and a little bit more about Into the Cess Citadel?
All right, so Tony did an excellent job of covering it. I wish I had more to say other than, by day, I am a freelance illustrator / writer. This is my main job at this point of making role-playing games and creating art. So not to shill that, but if you need art, let me know, or Alex, because we do it. But yes, so, and as for the company, Feral Indie Studio, or company, we make books, and we make a majority of the time we are making role-playing game zines for providing setting, and all in a system neutral format. So it's less about the system and more about providing content and interesting things to add to your game. That's about it.
I would say anybody out there who follows Down We Go stuff, I think that Feral Indie Studios and Sealed Library, pretty much everything in their catalog is stuff I would love to see people sit down and use in conjunction with our games, and they're always resources I'm super excited to break open and very excited to play here on stream. I know that Charlie just sold out of a ton of stuff at Origins, but you should also go check out their website for Vast in the Dark, As the Gods Demand, all the other system agnostic resources.
We will be doing another. We did well enough at Origins. We're doing another print run of a bunch of our titles. Just give us a hot minute. We'll get more. They Cried Monster, Vast in the Dark, Trail with No Name, Season of the Moth, and what was the last one? That's all I can think of right now. But
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff.
And this game is coming to GameFound later on this month. Is that correct?
Yes. Currently, we're still waiting for basically like the banking information to go through. So that's the big holdup right now. But as of now, the book's going to be done in 3 weeks because we told Brandon it would be, and to be fair, it will be. And yeah, we have a couple of early bird specials planned where if you order the book early, first 25 get a drawing inside of it from either me or Alex. We have a couple of small digital stretch goals planned, including 3 zine / adventures that we would like to do. One called the Snail Fancier Society, and we're really hoping we get to make that one. But aside from that, if you liked Into the Weird and Wild, and you're probably going to like this book, and the plan is to make it not just, this is a bit ambitious to say, not just a book about running cities, but the book about running cities. And we hope that we love what we're making so far, and we think you'll like it too.
Awesome. Well, I had a great time playing. Let's hear from some of our other players, though. Let's start with Isaak. Isaak's his first time on stream with us, but tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and tell us about what it was like to go into the Cess and Citadel.
I'm Isaak Hill. I do some RPG writing, a little bit of RPG editing. I was 1/7 of the Book of Gob by Lost Pages. Worked on that with Charlie and a few other folks, the Violus Viziers. You can find me on Twitter at Dying Lands.
Awesome. What was it like
I had
to
a good
play the
time.
game?
I had a good time here. I hope my character was sufficiently unprepared and unlikable.
The more you talked about it, like, the addition of the spandex suit is what like really did it. Like, but yes, it was. I admit when you were like talking about your character, it was like, I'm not going to stop this, but like, like,
awesome. Did you have any questions you wanted to ask Charlie about Into the Cess and Citadel?
I mean,
I don't think I have any particular questions.
Awesome.
Yes, I mean, it's not like we talk like almost every other day at this point, but yeah.
But I will say I've been poking through the preview stuff, and this is not just like 1 Into the Weird and Wild. This is like 3 Into the Weird and Wilds. There's a bunch of stuff going on there.
Yeah, I like when I tell people that, like, it's, because it does kind of sound like, showman speak of, like, yes, it's going to be 3 times as deep, like, 3 times as dense as Into the Weird and Wild. It's going to be like, it's great and, wonderful, but like truly, like this, it's not just like wheelie dealy thing, like genuinely, like this thing is 3 times as dense as Into the Weird and Wild, in the sense that, like, Into the Weird and Wild, all the monsters on that were like 2 pages long. We made it a point to do make sure the monsters were usually only like 1 page long. So it was a matter of like editing and parsing them out to make sure that they like took up less space while still maintaining the same presence. And then we took that philosophy and applied it to every aspect of the book. So it's not just about like generating the city, but also the undercity, and then the spires above, and each one runs like its own separate dungeon. So I'm glad you noticed, because like we worked really hard at it.
No, I was looking through it. That's really cool.
Well, I'll even say, when I was cruising through, I got to the first, because like Into the Weird and Wild, when you get to the here's how you develop the wild, that's kind of like the last little bit, right? It's like we're gonna finish it. And so I got to this session of like, here's how you build like city things, and I was like, oh cool, I'm almost done. Oh man, I guess the noble stuff isn't finished yet. And then I was like, oh no, never mind. There's another book. There's a lot more here. Oh, okay. I'm getting to another one of those sections. No, it's still going.
4 more? Yeah.
It's it was very, very good. It's a lot of content. It's very, very exciting to see. And a lot of stuff where like you can just roll it up beforehand, like very, very low prep on the part of the GM, things like that I'm very, very, very much a fan of.
So fun fact, this adventure, I actually rolled it up half an hour before we started, just to like, part of it was like, I was busy working the garden, but the other part was just like, if I can't do it for this session, then technically the book doesn't work, but it did.
It's awesome. Let's hear from our other person on stream. Also, if you have questions right now that you want to drop into the chat, we're happy to ask them. Would love to do it. There's a couple of stream issues. So Lawful Neutral was just asking, but it might be on your end also too. A couple people have been kind of clipping a little bit, but overall, it's been pretty smooth from the mainstream standpoint. So you might want to refresh if things aren't coming through perfectly for you. Let's hear from Chase Carter. Chase Carter, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, where they can find you online, but also what it was like to play Into the Cess in Citadel.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Chase. I'm a freelance news writer for Dicebreaker. Spend most of my time there. So you can find all my work at dicebreaker.com. I'm also on Twitter at Chase Writes, where I try to only use Twitter for work. I am mostly successful these days. But yeah, so I talk about tabletop games. It's not always just RPGs, but it's also board games and card games and all that sort of stuff. And also industry stuff. Lately, a lot of industry stuff. With a lot of new Kickstarter sort of contenders coming to the table. We'll see how all that sort of shakes out. But as for this game, like, this was really interesting. I sort of conceptually, these sort of like setting guides are not something that in my own experience I have a lot of experience with, because oftentimes I am like either playing in or playing with my own like sort of like homebrew system. So like it is really interesting to see one of these things at work, and it leads me to like wonder, like, since I do tend to write from like a sort of like broad angle, like I don't like to assume a lot of knowledge on the part of my audience. What's the general pitch for a setting guide like Into the Cess and Citadel?
So, not to back it off of Into the Weird and Wild, but like, I use the word setting just because that's a convenient word. But
right.
If I had to, arguably everybody here, all 3 of us here, including myself, when I say it's more of a toolbox, actually. Mm-hmm. It's not it's not in Eberron, it's not a Forgotten Realms.
Yeah.
It is a city. And like, it has plenty of flavor in that respect. Like, like I have there's this like running theme of like, the nobles are these demigods that are made out of gold and silver and like, literal like living jewelry. There's the Undercity, which is like filled with these characters called the Alley Whelps, who are like basically like people that have like been changed by the city and have banded together into these like anarchist communes. But like, you know, those are just like small little personal, just to kind of keep it interesting. It is much more of a toolbox. It is much more of like, you want to make a city. Here's how you not only make a city, but you also make it a gameable space, which there's like, I don't have the time to go into it, but there is this like whole aspect of it where the biggest danger is actually the financial the wealth disparity, where things cost significantly more in one area than another. And that is a danger in and of itself, because you on the street and you can't pay for lodgings, you get whooped. And there's all sorts of like, you know, horrible things that happen. And then in addition to that, there are these disasters that literally travel across the hex map of the city. And that's just for the city. The Undercity operates differently and the Spires operate differently. So yeah, it is a toolbox, not a setting.
Right. So I guess, would you say like for someone who's maybe just used to like picking up an RPG book and it has everything you need to run the game, like this is just like one more of those, like much more a tool for, you have a system that you really like playing, but also you're maybe not confident in it, or you don't have the time to like homebrew everything. You can use this to like very much like piece together a world that then you and the players provide all the connective tissue to make it come alive. At least that's like from my experiences, like the players and then also the world building and the sort of like dungeoneering that you do is what takes all of these pieces and turns it from like a bunch of cool tools into like a connected, cohesive world.
Yeah, and that's, for the record, that's exactly it. Because like, it's the philosophy behind it whenever I design stuff is that there's nothing I can make that is going to be more exciting than what your, like, you know, your individual table, the collective use individual table. This is just a, like, you know, an easy, convenient way to like build that. And sure, it's got lots of flavor, but in the end, it is just a super easy way for you to build that and then provide the connective tissue yourselves. Because, you know, like I said, it's not Eberron. It is, you know, your world.
Right.
I like Eberron, for the record. I'm just like, I would never buy the Eberron book.
Eberron's great.
Eberron is great, but it's like, you know, the reason I don't buy the Eberron books is because like I prefer toolboxes. I prefer my own home, like, brew places with my, you know, friends, family, loved ones, etc. And like I don't have the time to memorize like all the cities of
Well,
oh god, I can't remember.
There was a
Faerun. I don't know because I don't know what actually the settings for D&D are. I mean, I know their names, but I don't know how they all interconnect with each other or anything else like that.
I actually have names pop up, Sharn, City of Spires, or whatever.
Yeah. Like,
there's a blog post I remember reading. I think it was on Against the Wicked City, where it's basically talking about like the best modules and like RPG products. The best ideas on them are the ones that you couldn't just come up with at the table, like ones that you wouldn't have just been able to come up with on the spot. And so like Eberron's full of those stuff that like you probably could have just come up with that on the spot. Like there's tons of great stuff in there, but there's also a lot of stuff filling up of like detailed descriptions of something that you could have improvised.
Yeah.
And I think
to be fair, yeah. Oh,
I think the interesting thing about good toolboxes as opposed to others, like settings should, if written properly, consider the different interlocking components of how everything fits together. In my experience, they rarely actually do. They kind of present everything as, here's how it is. And there might be some consideration that this thing happened. This toolboxes don't. They don't necessarily consider how things fit together. They just say things are this way. But in that, there's actually the invitation to start to ask the question, well, why do they fit together this way, in a way where you don't ever risk breaking anything. You don't, like, because you're kind of, since there is no lore, you're not like running up against, oh, well, that doesn't make sense because of X. And I think there are good settings out there that do a good job of considering that. But I think one of the significant critiques we see is that people don't think about like ecosystems in play, especially in fantasy. Things are presented as like magic just takes care of it. Toolboxes and sandboxes, in my experience, like tend to be far better at saying like, yeah, magic 100% takes care of it, but that should be considered an active force, not just a passive force of something that happened in the past that just got us to this point. Things move around and change behind the scenes in ways you wouldn't notice, and things can actually be, the city can be given life, or the wild can be given life, or the setting can be given life in a way that you're not waiting for Wizards of the Coast to drop their next adventure set or whatever that's set there that's going to add a little bit of it. It's actually just inherent in your play style that these things are advancing the reality of what's happening around you. And anytime you reach a point where you don't know what's next, you can use one of the pieces of the toolbox to say, here's a thing that's happening that's now all of a sudden going to impact everyone in the city and you have to deal with, right? And I think a lot of good GMs do that on their own. I think they figure out ways to make that happen in play. I think toolboxes are great ways to help somebody go from, I'm a new GM just setting out, I've got Eberron, or I've got, any of these other locations, but I want to help it come alive. You don't have to take Into the Cess Citadel and be like, hey, I'm just going to play in this city now. You can say, hey, I'm still going to play in the city that I play in whatever setting I prefer. I'm going to pull these pieces out of this other one, and I'm going to drop them in, and I'm going to have tools and resources that can also bring the setting that I have to life at my table without me as the GM having to think about how do all these things interact with each other. And I think that's one of the things I love about the game, and the toolbox and sandbox approach to things a lot of time. But it's a very different way of playing.
I would say once you like get a good toolbox, I'll say together from like lots of parts, you'll never go back. I love, I think that's why, actually, to bring it back to you, Isaac, the mothership setting, what's the space station one that we played and we blew it up?
Begins with a Y, right?
Pound of Flesh.
Pound of Flesh.
Yeah.
Pound of Flesh is a fantastic example of it is setting and toolbox mixed together. Hey, there it is. Where it is this it gives this kind of overarching place, but then
in the middle you've got a little cyber mod supplement on here's all the rules for cyber mods. You can just steal those from that kind of thing.
It's so yes. Once you learn how to play with toolboxes and you collect and you basically make your own chest of tools and your own personal toolbox, it is the best way to run games, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was a spread I got to in Cess Citadel. I was like, there's some good Pound of Flesh tech worked in there.
A little bit.
I think I saw some other questions in the chat, by the way.
There are. I was going to bring those up real quick. So JP's got a couple questions, which I think it's really two of the same question. Can you talk a little bit more about some of the different sections in the book? You mentioned monster section earlier. What else can people look forward to in there?
Okay, so the monster section, we have a bestiary because we like monsters, and they provide an interesting part of the environment and ecosystem. So we have rules for the city, which are basically you could just get the book and apply that to any city setting that you already have. Of here's how here's what you have to worry about in a city versus say a dungeon or the wilderness, and and things that you would kind of want to consider, or the referee might want to throw into the game. Then you have a section on generating city. And that is not only generating the financial wealth disparity landscape of the city, but also the problems, locations, features, and also the political web of the city. All the factions that are at play, how they some of them hate each other, some of them are working together, some of them are secret allies. We definitely look to, there's a wonderful book by, I think it's Dying Stylishly, of Esoteric Enterprises, that did this wonderful job of creating this faction grid. And then we sort of, I don't want to say parroted it, but we did kind of take that idea of oh wow, you can just have a pile of dice and you can make an entire political web off of it. And then we sort of striated it and made it sort of well, it's not just going to be we had different classes of citizens, because unfortunately this horrible capitalist city has basically a caste system in it. But so that's one section. So creating the city, monsters. Then we have the Undercity, how you create that, how you run that. Then we have the Spires, how you create that, how you run that. And then we have 3 individual districts, which are our most indulgent aspect, which are basically kind of like, here's how you could take everything in the book and make it into your own city. And we did that 3 individual times with the Foundry, with the Archivist District, and the Cultivist District that I can't go into because I still have to talk about the last section, which is artifacts and magic. And then I believe the last one is how you run that. Like how you take everything in the book, because there's a lot of it, and how you simplify that and run it in your own home games.
A little bit, a couple things.
A couple things.
A few things. 3 times the size of Weird and Wild.
Not 3 times the size. 3 times as dense. We are
3
trying
times
to keep it
as
under.
dense.
Yes, it is. We're trying to keep it under 300 pages, and
Trying
so far,
so hard.
Because of shipping. Like,
is shipping hard right now?
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Are there issues with that? I don't know. Awesome. It's coming soon. You go to This City Eats People or the link right below our face. It's also linked down in the description of the video. I can't wait for people to see it. I love all the different tools and pieces in it that you pulled out. I also love the flavor that you've added in there. Specifically, people want to play kind of directly in the setting and concepts of the book and the things that you're exploring within that. I'm always a huge fan of the things that come out of Fairlighted Studio. But I do have to ask. I've made it a joke a couple times, but I'm looking for the scoop. We've done the Weird and Wild. We've done the Cess Citadel. What are we thinking for installation 3?
So we actually, I think Isaac, because I believe I talked about it on Discord here and there, but we basically, okay, well, good. Now I can announce it. I'm not gonna say its title, but Alex and I did a coin flip for this book where it was either we were going to do a city, which we did, and also there were some, shall we say, world events that made this book seem a little more pressing to do, but the 3rd and final book will be about a haunted coastline.
Awesome.
So all about, like a gentle, soft, seaside resort where nothing goes. Yeah, saltwater taffy, where nothing goes wrong, and there's
old women, cozy book clubs.
Yeah. Brindlewood Bay did it. Damn it! Which, by the way, go play Brindlewood Bay for anybody watching who hasn't already. It's fantastic.
I've been meaning to play that one. That one looks like fun.
If you get a game together, I'll make the time to play it. Anyway, but yeah, a haunted coastline will be the 3rd and final Into book, and then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do after that, I guess.
We have to start doing new stuff. I'm super excited. Can't wait to hold this beautiful book in my hands. Also, again, want to encourage people to go check it out along with everything else. Coming up Friday, we are playing Storymasters Tales on Friday afternoon with Ollie Mack over in the UK. It's the UK's one of their second best selling RPGs, but I'm super excited to sit and play it because it's not one I had heard a lot about, but it is very popular in certain corridors over there, and I'm very excited to have Ollie here running it for us. So you can come check out Friday afternoon that. This weekend, Torque Odathon by Will Yopes kicks off, but we are kicking it off right here on stream with a session of Torque Rally Raid. If you are a big fan of a soft apocalypse gone weird and kind of sliding back and forth between tactical vehicle combat and then cool, weird rest stops that is across the countryside, then come back on Saturday afternoon to join us for that. We've got a couple cool conversations coming up over the next few months. We are going to have a few breaks here and there as we are traveling. We've got a wedding coming up for another one of my siblings at the end of this month, so we'll be taking a couple weeks off there. Maybe I'll get to see Chase Carter's face in person because I'm going to Dallas, Texas in the mid-cities, and so I'll be nearby. But with that said, you can find all of our back content or other things over on our YouTube channel. You can also find us at +1EXP across most social media platforms. We're doing a lot of work on Through the Void right now, so keep an eye out for that. We've got some cool stuff with Trophy coming up, and then later on this week, the details will go out for Exalted Funeral Con 2022, the first online convention by Exalted Funeral. It'll be fully online. We're helping host it. It's the working theme is I know what you rolled last summer. If you fudge dice, you should make sure you do it behind a screen. We're very, very, very excited to be partnered with Exalted Funeral for that. There's a bunch of different ways you can get engaged in that, from free to paid, and entry into specific games with cool creators from across the world. So keep an eye out for all those details. But until next time, we don't have a good way to end stream, so we're just going to wave at the camera until I take us offline. Bye, everybody.